Have you ever stopped to consider what life might truly feel like if you found yourself growing older and living alone? It's a thought many people push aside until one day it becomes their reality. As time passes, children grow up and move away. Friends drift apart or pass on, and the once lively rhythm of everyday life slows into a much quieter pace. It's in these quieter moments, when a home feels still and conversations are few, that solitude can begin to feel overwhelming. And while growing old alone is often portrayed as a lonely and difficult chapter, the truth is, it doesn't have to be. With a conscious approach, daily intention, and a little guidance, it can be one of the most peaceful and meaningful stages of life. In this video, we'll explore 6 fundamental daily habits that are essential if you find yourself navigating life on your own in your later years. These aren't just time fillers or distractions. They are deeply impactful practices that can help you maintain mental clarity, emotional strength, and physical vitality. Most importantly, they can help you find fulfillment in your own company. There's a profound difference between being alone and being lonely, and often the gap between the two is shaped by the decisions we make every single day. If you're feeling uncertain about what life looks like on your own, or you're simply searching for ways to make your later years more joyful and intentional, stay with me. These 6 habits could completely reshape how you approach aging and help you build a life that feels not just tolerable, but rich and deeply rewarding. Let's begin with something that may sound simple but has a powerful effect on your well-being: creating a consistent daily rhythm. When you're older and no longer have obligations like work, school runs, or family dinners anchoring your day, time can start to feel unstructured and slippery. Many people who live alone begin to feel disconnected from life because their days lack rhythm. You wake up whenever, eat whenever, and sometimes hours pass without purpose or direction. Without realizing it, you start drifting through life, and that drift can turn into a dangerous sense of meaninglessness. But a daily routine changes that. Establishing a routine gives you something to wake up for. It turns each day into a sequence of moments you can look forward to, however small those moments may seem. You don't need a military-style schedule, but building gentle structure into your day helps you stay mentally grounded. Start your morning at the same time every day. Make your bed, brew your coffee or tea, and sit by the window. Get dressed, even if you're not going anywhere. That small act alone can shift your mindset from passive to active. It sends a message to your brain. The day matters, and so do you. When the day begins with intention, the rest of it tends to follow suit. Robert, a 76-year-old who lost his wife several years ago, shared how he used to feel adrift, waking up late, skipping meals, and spending hours in front of the television. It wasn't that he didn't care. He just didn't know what to do with the emptiness that surrounded him. But once he started building a routine, waking up early, cooking his own breakfast, walking for 15 minutes in the morning, and calling his daughter every Wednesday afternoon, he felt more like himself again. The days no longer blurred into one another. Instead, he had a rhythm, and that rhythm gave his life shape and meaning. Your routine should reflect who you are and what brings you peace. Maybe it's journaling for a few minutes in the evening, listening to music while preparing lunch, or tending to plants at the same time every day. The key isn't perfection, it's consistency. When you create a sense of flow in your day, you start looking forward to things again. And with that comes a sense of stability, even when the world around you feels uncertain. Alongside structure, your body needs movement. As you age, the temptation to slow down is strong, and understandably so. But while rest is essential, too much inactivity can accelerate physical decline. Muscles weaken, joints stiffen, and before you know it, daily tasks that once felt easy begin to feel like obstacles. The good news is that movement doesn't have to be intense to be effective. A simple walk around the block, stretching your arms overhead in the morning, or even just standing up and moving around every hour can keep your body resilient and responsive. Ellen, a 78-year-old retired librarian, found herself becoming increasingly sedentary after retirement. She told herself it was normal. It's just what happens when you get old. But eventually, even walking up a flight of stairs started to feel like a chore. After some encouragement, she joined a local walking group and began a light stretching routine each morning. The results were immediate. More energy, better sleep, improved posture, and, surprisingly, a brighter mood. Her body began to respond, and that response inspired her to keep going. Movement, after all, is a form of self-respect. It tells your body you still believe in what it can do. Daily movement also supports your mental health. Regular physical activity increases blood flow to the brain, which can improve memory, sharpen focus, and reduce the risk of cognitive decline. You don't need fancy equipment or gym membership. Even household chores, like sweeping the floor, carrying groceries, or tidying up, can keep your body active and your mind alert. The secret lies in making movement a part of your daily rhythm, just like meals and sleep. And speaking of the mind, just like your body needs movement, your brain craves stimulation. As people grow older, they often stop engaging in mentally challenging activities, believing that it's too late to learn something new or that there's no need. But this mindset contributes to mental stagnation. Your brain is remarkably adaptable, even in later years. Learning something new, playing a game that requires strategy, reading a book that makes you think, or even writing your thoughts down each day. These are all ways to keep your mind sharp and alive. Janet, a 74-year-old retired schoolteacher, once feared she was starting to forget things more than she used to. Instead of panicking, she chose to re-engage her brain. She picked up crossword puzzles again, started reading a book every 2 weeks, and enrolled in an online language course. Not only did her memory improve, but she also felt more confident, more conversational, and more connected to her identity. Learning isn't reserved for the young. It's a lifelong gift you can give yourself at any stage. Each new skill, concept, or idea you explore keeps your brain forming new connections, which in turn strengthens your cognitive health. There's also a quiet, satisfying joy in learning something simply because it interests you. When you explore new knowledge or engage in something intellectually stimulating, you awaken a part of yourself that feels deeply human. Curiosity doesn't fade with age. It just needs to be nurtured. And when you commit to that, you realize that your inner world can be just as rich and fulfilling as any social interaction or external experience. As time moves forward, one of the most powerful habits you can cultivate when living alone in your older years is mastering the art of enjoying your own company. This may sound simple, but it often requires a shift in mindset. So many people associate being alone with being forgotten, unwanted, or unimportant. But when you begin to understand that solitude doesn't have to equal suffering, something inside you begins to change. You start to recognize that your time, even if spent alone, is still meaningful and worthy. You don't need someone else in the room to validate your day or your joy. People who thrive in later life often have one key thing in common. They learn to genuinely like themselves. That doesn't mean they're free from regrets or never feel sad. It means they've learned how to befriend their own mind. Instead of trying to escape themselves through endless distractions or dwelling on the past, they make peace with who they are today. They appreciate the life they've lived, even with imperfections, and find small ways to make each day feel purposeful. If you're someone who finds it difficult to sit with your own thoughts, try reframing how you see that silence. Rather than viewing it as empty space, treat it as an invitation. You can use that time to reconnect with who you are beyond the labels, beyond parent, spouse, worker. Ask yourself, what brings me comfort? What makes me feel alive? What have I always wanted to try, even if just for fun? Solitude becomes richer when it's filled with small pleasures and intentional moments. Maybe it's spending the morning tending to a few plants on your windowsill, or lighting a scented candle and reading poetry aloud to yourself. Maybe it's pulling out old photographs and letting yourself smile at the memories instead of feeling weighed down by them. These quiet acts of self-care are not indulgent. They're necessary. They tell your soul that you matter, not because of who notices you, but because you've learned to notice yourself. Another life-changing habit in older age is finding a way to give back, even in the smallest way. It's easy to assume that when you're older, your role in the world diminishes, that you've done your part, and now you're meant to rest. But the truth is, Having a sense of usefulness can light up your days in ways nothing else can. Giving doesn't always mean volunteering at a charity or mentoring someone, although those are beautiful things to do. It can be something as simple as writing encouraging notes to neighbors, sharing old recipes with young people, or sending kind messages to those who cross your mind. What matters is the act of offering something of yourself to the world. When you give, you remind yourself that your presence still holds weight, that you still have something to offer, and that realization does more for the heart than any external praise ever could. It brings back a sense of purpose, and purpose is one of the most powerful medicines against loneliness and despair. For example, Margaret, an 82-year-old who lives by herself, used to feel invisible. Her days felt long, and she admitted going several days at a time without speaking to anyone. But one day, she decided to knit a few scarves for a local shelter. That small decision opened a new door. The staff at the shelter began writing her thank you notes. A few children sent her hand-drawn pictures. She felt seen again. And suddenly, she wasn't just passing time. She was making a difference, no matter how small. When you live alone, having someone to care about beyond yourself keeps your heart open and your spirit connected. That leads us to another overlooked but essential habit: caring for your surroundings. Your living space, no matter how modest, deeply affects your mental and emotional health. When you live alone, it's easy to stop caring about how things look or feel. After all, no one's visiting, right? But the truth is, you are the most important guest in your own home. The way your space is arranged, the smells in the air, the light that filters into the curtains. These things shape how you feel every day. You deserve a home that nurtures you, not one that quietly drains your energy. Take a look around. Is your space cluttered, dim, or neglected? Or does it reflect who you are and what you love? When you make the effort to keep your environment clean, bright, and comforting, you're not just organizing objects. You're creating a space that honors your presence. Even little touches make a big difference. Fresh flowers on the table. A clean cup waiting for your morning tea. Soft music playing in the background. These may seem trivial, but they create moments of beauty, and beauty feeds the soul. Keeping your home in order also has practical benefits. A tidy space reduces stress, prevents accidents, and supports better sleep. It helps you feel more in control and less overwhelmed. And when you know where everything is, you move through your day with greater ease. You don't have to do everything at once. Start with one corner, one drawer, one window. Let each small improvement be a quiet declaration. I care about my space because I care about myself. Lastly, we can't talk about thriving in older age without mentioning the role of reflection and acceptance. As the years go by, everyone carries with them a mixture of joys and regrets, triumphs and mistakes. It's easy to fall into the trap of replaying old wounds, wondering what might have been. But living in the past, especially when it's filled with pain, robs you of the gift of now. Acceptance doesn't mean pretending everything was perfect. It means choosing to find peace with what can be changed while still cherishing what remains. Reflection can be a gentle ritual. It could mean writing in a journal, talking to a friend, or sitting quietly at the end of the day and asking yourself what went well. What did I enjoy today? What can I let go of? This kind of inward focus helps you process your emotions and gives you space to forgive others and yourself. Over time, you begin to notice the weight you were carrying starts to lift. You stop needing answers to everything. You stop chasing explanations. Instead, you begin to simply live, and in that there's freedom. So many older adults believe their best years are behind them. But what if they're not? What if peace, joy, purpose, and even new beginnings are still waiting? Hidden in the quiet, unhurried days of growing old alone. These habits aren't magic, but they are powerful. They create structure, movement, stimulation, meaning, beauty, and acceptance. They remind you, day by day, that your life still matters, that your presence is still valuable, and that even on your own, you are never truly without company, because you have yourself. There comes a point in life where the silence around you becomes louder than the words ever spoken. The phone doesn't ring as often. Fewer footsteps cross your threshold. And yet, within that quiet, something remarkable can still grow: resilience, clarity, and a deeper connection to the rhythm of life itself. For older adults living alone, one of the most vital habits you can nurture is staying mentally sharp and emotionally aware. Because when the outer world slows down, your inner world becomes a place where life continues to unfold. Mental sharpness isn't just about doing puzzles or remembering names. It's about keeping your brain alive through curiosity and engagement. The mind thrives on stimulation. Even something as simple as learning a new skill, reading a topic you've never explored before, or listening to music you haven't heard in decades can awaken parts of your mind that felt long forgotten. It reminds you that growth doesn't stop just because the years have passed. People who age well and live alone often make it a point to keep their thinking flexible. They don't get stuck in "this is how it's always been." They stay open to new ideas, even if they don't agree with them. They ask questions, reflect, and think deeply. They choose not to allow their world to shrink into only what's familiar. This habit doesn't just keep your mind fresh. It keeps your spirit alive. If you find yourself falling into repetitive thought patterns or feeling like every day is the same, try introducing something different, even if it's just once a week. Sign up for a free online class. Write a letter to your younger self. Ask your grandchild to explain how their favorite app works. These aren't just distractions. They're exercises in connection. Connection to a larger world that's still full of surprises. And alongside mental sharpness, emotional steadiness becomes your anchor. Living alone can bring unexpected waves: grief, longing, anger, even resentment. You may feel left behind, forgotten by time, or simply unneeded. These feelings are natural, but they don't have to rule your days. The healthiest older adults are not those who never feel sad, but those who learn how to sit with that sadness without letting it define them. One way to support your emotional balance is to keep a rhythm to your days. Create a routine that feels gentle but grounding. Wake up at the same time. Make your bed. Prepare meals that feel nourishing. Have something you look forward to, even if it's a daily walk or a few pages of a good book. When life feels unpredictable, a simple rhythm reminds you that you're still in control of your day. It also helps to find a safe outlet for your emotions. This could be a journal, a trusted friend, or even a spiritual practice. Let yourself express what you're feeling instead of holding it in. The more you give your emotions room to move, the less power they have to overwhelm you. You're not weak for feeling lonely. You're human, but you're also strong enough to face that loneliness and still choose joy where you can find it. Another life-saving habit that often gets overlooked is movement. Physical activity doesn't have to mean hitting the gym or lifting heavy weights. It can be as simple as stretching your arms overhead in the morning, taking a short walk around the block, or dancing to music in your living room. Movement is about telling your body, "I still need you. I still respect what you can do." The body, like the mind, needs attention. When you live alone, it's easy to stop noticing your own physical needs. No one's there to remind you to drink water, to eat on time, or to get up and move. That responsibility falls to you. And while that may sound burdensome, it's also empowering. Every time you choose to take care of your body, you're casting a vote for your future self, saying, "I still matter." Movement improves balance, reduces the risk of falls, helps you sleep better, and boosts your mood. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to move like you did in your 40s. Just move in a way that feels good. Some people find joy in gentle yoga. Others find it in gardening, cleaning to music, or even playing with a pet. The key is to keep your body involved in the act of living. And perhaps the most profound habit of all is staying connected, even in unconventional ways. Connection doesn't always come in the form of visitors or phone calls. Sometimes it's found in writing letters you'll never send, watching the birds on your windowsill, or smiling at a stranger during your walk. Connection is about reminding yourself that you're still part of the world. If you don't have family nearby, that doesn't mean you can't build a circle of care. Reach out to neighbors. Join a local group, even if just online. Start small. You don't need dozens of people. Sometimes one kind soul is enough. And if others don't reach out, be the one who does. Not because you're desperate for attention, but because you believe in the value of human warmth. There's also great comfort in connecting with yourself in ways that feel sacred. Create small rituals that mark your days with intention. Light a candle in the evening. Say a kind word to yourself in the mirror. Reflect on what you're grateful for. These moments may not seem grand, but they form a life that feels cared for and acknowledged. Aging alone doesn't mean aging without meaning. In fact, many people who live by themselves in their older years report a deeper understanding of life than ever before. They discover a peace that comes from within, not from others. They become selective with their energy. They learn how to rest, how to reflect, and how to rebuild themselves over and over again. You don't have to pretend it's easy. There will be hard days, days where the silence feels sharp and the walls seem echoed with memories. But you are allowed to feel all of it and still rise the next day with quiet determination. These habits, mental engagement, emotional steadiness, physical movement, and meaningful connection are not just tools. They are lifelines. They are anchors for the days when everything else feels uncertain. You may be alone in your home. You may no longer have the company you once did, but you are still here. And every breath you take, every kind thing you do for yourself, is proof that your life still holds value. Aging alone isn't the end of the story. Sometimes it's the beginning of one that is wiser, softer, and more intentional than anything you've lived before.